Hello, everyone. Now they're just making fucking faces at me. Um,
Last time it was hand gestures.
last time I was saying, I guess this is a new thing now we're doing. Welcome back to Ryam, everyone. Before we get in tonight, I do have one announcement. Our good friend were our
Oh
good
my god, world.
our good friend Will.
Rewind.
I'm not even gonna fix an ending. I'm just gonna leave it in.
Or my good friend Ro.
Our good friend Will is stepping away from the campaign, much to everyone's sorrow. But he needs to get some things together and do some self care, which is a good just PSA message I think for all of us here in Ryam and in all games. If when things start to become overwhelming, this game is supposed to be fun, even though it can be very heightened emotionally and everything. So we wish Will the best, and hopefully one day he might come back and we'll see Roscoe again. But for now, we're just going to bury that bitch in red tape and paperwork, so that way she can come back maybe one day in the future. But going
That
from
one tire fire.
that tire fire is real bad. And who knew that going from a hobo on a cart to a ruler of a nation might require a longer period of adjustment than a couple of months. But we still have the rest of our beloved gaffers here. And tonight's intro question, speaking of self care, will be what do your characters do, gaffers, for self care?
I can go first. Tessa's really. I'm Deb. I play Tessa, Tiefling Paladin. So she knows all about self care. It's one of the things her aunt has taught her since she kind of runs the Doshnaral healthcare system, which includes therapy and mental health. So for her, it's a combination of things like physical activity, hobbies, and social activity. So she'll do stretching or yoga, maybe with Allie. She likes to write down her day in her journal, taking time to talk to Alora too. That kind of helps with her mental state. And she likes to do things for her friends like baking or stargazing or comparing magic or assisting Kiki with a project. I think one of her favorite things is to have a big group dinner with good conversation, just everybody having a good time.
I love Tessa so much. I'll jump off of that. So I'm Randall, and I play Kiki, the Kinku Tinkerer. And Kiki, as we've established, is not super great with self-care. She sleeps at odd hours. If she's on a tear with research or a project, she'll forget to go to bed, or she'll just stay up super late. She can also forget to eat, and just really basic things on the Maslow hierarchy of needs. But I will say, building off Tessa, I think if Tessa's like, hey, let's go flying, and Kiki gets to use her boots of flight, that 100% would be self-care. Even if it's labeled as flight lessons or just purely because I just imagine Tessa would be like, this just do it for the joy of flying, right?
Yeah,
But
that
she's
I
my
can
teacher,
totally see that.
yeah, cresting over treetops and touching the tippy tops of the trees as you cruise by and stuff.
Or even just finding your balance. So even if you're just wearing shoes, kind of hovering in the air. How to spy on people from the trees.
Don't say Tessa. So I think that would probably be a big core delight.
I can go next. Hello, I'm Robert. I play Nikki Doxborn, the human wizard. And she is somewhat new to the world of self-care, I suppose. As a kid, Nicholas was too poor to have time for self-care, essentially. Too busy hustling to, survive, basically. And then as an apprentice, too busy trying to prove himself to have a lot of time on his own. And he kind of thrived in that heavy work environment. But something that he started doing in college was he would work really hard for a day, make sure that everything was good. He didn't have anything due or anything like that. And then a full 24 hours of absolutely nothing productive.
That sounds amazing.
It's very nice.
Sounds delicious.
So she still does that at her holdings now. Whenever the day of rest, I guess, is she's very firm about absolutely nothing productive. You need to come to her with your business the day before or the day after, and she'll fit you in at weird hours, but not on rest day.
I like doing that in real life. It's fun.
I probably should do it more in real life, honestly.
I try to give myself like one day off from work, at least like once a month, just to have like a mental health day. It always like kind of reboots me. It's very nice.
I'm Kate. I play Allie, our tiefling monk. So Allie's general thoughts around self-care are basically to try and build a life that's balanced enough that you don't need to escape from it. Which like takes different forms for different people. So like Nikki's version of it is create a day that is for the escaping and that is built into the schedule. For Allie, it's kind of like trying to build enough into her daily schedule to make it work. And it doesn't always happen. And sometimes she needs a longer period. There's yoga and there's meditation. She does a lot of sketching in her sketchbook, which like definitely helps keep her relaxed, especially when she's like drawing things just for herself or just because she wants to. Definitely anytime she's able to just like spend time in a garden, like with growing things, because the kind of first oath she takes with her monk path is life before death, so being around living and growing things. And also fucking. That is absolutely self-care for Allie. Whether or not it involves toys, whether or not it involves another person, absolutely self-care.
We are taking a turn from Neva.
If she's not hoeing in the garden, she's hoeing somewhere.
Oh.
Allie will plow whenever and wherever she needs to.
Giggity.
Heyo.
And the thought-off begins between Nikki and Allie in earnest.
I mean, it's not a competition at this point. They're fucking.
I'm here for it.
It's collaborative, Scoot.
Anyway. Collaborative. So, we will pick up now after you folks have... last week you met those lovely, lovely relatives of Lady Docksborn that
like
came
that.
here, who, you know, the Karen, the slime bag, and the bro. But luckily they they have left. But we're going to center in on Kiki as you are reminded, now that everyone's kind of back, Kiki, to head back to the main building where Nikki and everyone is, as the smell of breakfast comes, and perhaps you don't want a very angry Arakoa to come scold you again for, you know, not eating. But as you roll in, Kiki, you notice that there is another new face there, as there is another horned fox humanoid with about 4 tails sitting there. He is gingery, kind of paler skin, red mop hair. He looks quite built, like a blacksmith, so not quite like a warrior or like a fighter, but he's definitely got that sort of toned muscle for someone that does a lot of hammering, and you can notice a number of crafting tools slung on his belt, hammers and various accoutrements. He smells like a forge, and you can definitely smell like soot and various metals on him.
And what is he doing? Sitting at the...
Yeah, he seems to be talking, and he's talking with the other new person, Aaliyah, very casually, as they sort of are going back and forth, very sibling-like. They're talking about hair braiding, because despite this sort of craftsman aura he gives off, Aaliyah is trying desperately to teach him. Allie is trying to teach him how to do a braiding in the hair, and he is just not understanding any of it.
So Allie's current method of trying to explain it to him, you'll notice that like the kind of the marks on her arm and her freckles and also her eyes seem to be glowing like faintly silver currently. There is also like a single like chunk of hair that is currently outlined in a silvery light, and she's trying to explain to him like that you take one piece over the piece that is light, and then you take another piece between those two, and then you take the light one and wrap it over that one. Basically, she's trying to explain a braid with, like, colored visuals now. It's not working very well.
Yeah, so he sits there just looking at her going, when do you like? I don't understand. Like, you don't weave metal like that. You would hammer it at some point. When do you like fuse it? When do you put it together?
At the very end with a hair tie. Ivan, hair is not metal. Stop trying to compare this to metal. Not everything is metal.
I mean, not with that attitude.
Yvonne presses X to doubt.
Everything is metal.
It's just,
Yeah,
it's
Kiki
gonna
Araka.
fall apart. What is the point of that?
Look, Allie quickly braids her hair, ties it off with a hair tie at the bottom, and says, "Ta-da!"
It's gonna fall apart, though. He just says, just looking baffled.
How is it going to fall apart, Ivan?
Dumb anime boy.
What is
Kiki
going
doesn't
to
know
fall
what's going on.
apart? What is
That's
the
not
issue here
nearly
structurally?
tight enough. That is not tight. It can't possibly be.
So Tessa's also in the room, and she's kind of talking very casually with both of them, and she does see Kiki. She's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, don't worry about that. Have some breakfast."
Don't worry. So Kiki just sort of nods, and she sits down, but she's puzzled that he's puzzled. She doesn't even know who he is. But she pulls out rope, and she's like, "Rope don't come apart." She's like, and she gives it like a tug,
Yeah,
like this.
see, thank you,
And
Kiki.
and then she looks at him, because she sees the tools, and then she pulls out some wires, and she goes, "See, little metal, and metal." And then she gives them like a twist, and she gives them like a little sort of tug, just to try to convey the principle of it.
So when he sees the wiring, he's like, "Oh, okay, that seems to make more sense to him for some reason." "Thank you, Kenku." He says, I'm Eben, by the way." He says, putting out his hand and offering you to shake it.
Eben, like EBON.
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 EBON. Yep.
Kiki says hi. She accidentally reaches over with the hand still holding the wires, realizes it's connected to something, accidentally gives both her and Avon a little bit of a little shock, and then she's like, "Oh, sorry. Kiki, hi." And then she puts the wires away.
"How did you do that?" And he seems like he zones in on you in a very fascinated way.
Kiki pushes any food that's in front of her to the side and starts pulling out things from her bag at the risk of angering the Arakoa, who's like, "You haven't..." and she starts pulling out tools, various gizmos, and she points to like sigils, like the mechanical parts as well as the magical parts, and she's just like, see this, you're good with that. Yeah, so that's her. She
Yeah,
actually
so
forgets
something that
the
you noticed, you said he is following along with you more closely than probably any of your other companions have. He's extremely interested in this, and despite him not having a damnable idea about how hair works, he's going back and forth with you about how you're crafting things and how you've made certain pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'll gladly, because she loves her friends and they're very indulgent with her, but to have someone who actually, kind of like takes it a level deeper with technical questions, she's very excited. So, again, I think the only time she would use food would be like not to eat it, but to use it partly for demonstrating. Like, if she's like, "See, you have this part A, and she'll take like an orange over here, and she'll start weaving strips of bacon, like to get back to the.
Wait, no. I'm picturing her doing the thing where you make a circuit with the potato.
Yes.
Wish she would.
The potato clock.
Now,
Yes.
what's the gender of that potato? Just so I'm clear.
It is a male potato. I have rolled for it.
Wait,
Okay,
hold on,
Mr.
Scoot. In your
Potato.
universe, potatoes are not agender as they are in our universe.
The gender fluxes, so they can be both A and have a specific gender. It's really based on what the potato wants.
They have quantum gender, basically.
Basically.
It's
As do
it's
most
both
things
male
in
and
this
female.
universe. Yeah.
Fair.
It's basically Skinniger's gender. You don't know until you ask. Or
I like that.
Love it.
Schrodinger's gender.
Schrodinger's gender.
Skinner was the other guy.
I was.
That's
I'm
our,
just confused for a
that's our
moment.
default
So
gender
far,
state in
we've brought-
Ryam.
That's right. So far, we've brought Maslow, Skinner, and Schrodinger into our session.
I have
gonna be that
I have a
one.
counseling degree. That's what I
Of
have.
course you do.
I love it, except that it makes talking about my past difficult.
I mean, Scoot, if we want to bring more psychologists into this particular one, I can make the terrible pun I made earlier today.
Don't. I will put you in the timeout room.
I don't care.
I want it. I want it. I gotta have
When
it.
you find an idiom with a Freudian slip.
Oh, what to a Freudian slip?
What do you get when you combine an idiom with a Freudian slip?
I don't know. What do you get?
6 of one, half a dozen of your mother.
Oh. Wow.
Yes.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Oh, the pain. The pain.
The house explodes.
I have to
Everyone
roll.
dies.
I have to roll for
Wait, if it's within a minute, I can resurrect people.
You are also dead.
Oh.
Curses.
All right. Well, I've lived a good life.
It's been a great ride. I got a boyfriend. It's fine.
Tessa died with bacon in front of her. It's how she would have wanted to go.
I was in my mouth, like actively
She
chewing
died as she lived.
it, eating bacon.
Okay.
And probably that could be what Kiki was fooling with too, but whatever.
Yes, this gentleman seems to be, again, he's very intrigued by what you're doing, Kiki. 'Cause as he talks to you, it's very clear that he is a smith. Like, probably specializes in weapons and maybe, like, jewelry? Things like that. Like, he has an understanding of the more intricate work. But he is he's not to the level of tinkering that you are. But he can sort of hang with you on the more basic to moderate stuff.
Once Kiki vibes with that and she realizes it, she'll start pointing to weapons that have, say, like leather braided around the handle, right? And then she'll start anything that's basically braided. She's going to be like, it's like the lesson of the day. So she'll keep kind of going to those. She's very happy to have that with him.
Anyway, so the rest of you folks are just eating as you watch these two nerds nerd out about the thing they are nerd about.
Nerds.
Because, I'm sorry, Lady Doxborn, you said you had a vein of ore. You wanted to look at the forge outside and the vein of ore.
Yeah. No rush. Whenever's good. Finish breakfast first.
Okay, so does anyone want to do anything anything more at breakfast before we head out?
Nope.
Cool. So I will. I'll lead him kind of out to the forge and show him around that building, and then out to the mine. And there's efficient ways to get down into the mine, and also an old-fashioned one of those little carts that you have to pump the lever thingy up and down.
Obviously. So as you were at the...
And I kind of gesture to both, lever thingy?
He will eventually just go on the lever thingy with you, because it's clearly what you want to do.
We lever thingy.
Is
ourselves
everyone
down
else
into
getting
the mine.
on the lever cart, or are you just walking
Oh,
down
hell
the track?
yeah,
Okay.
no, Kiki, 100%. She'll be checking out the mechanics of it all.
Can I fit in that?
Barely, but you'll be able to.
Sure.
It becomes like a team building puzzle where you have a small platform. You have to fit everyone on it.
Yes.
I mean, if it starts looking like things are getting too cramped, Allie will literally just become a small fox.
That would probably help.
So as you're pumping, Nikki, something you notice is that this guy has a lot of... it's going to be like this from now on.
Come on!
We all made the face.
That's what
I just winked. I didn't say anything.
As you operate the mechanism.
I'll operate your mechanism, baby.
Start giving deep... I don't know what the opposite of inspiration is, but... demerits, I guess.
Disinspiration.
Demerit.
Stupid point.
I love that.
Something you are noticing, Nikki, is that this gentleman has a lot of stamina. Like, you most likely get tired before he does, and he just more or less takes over as you head down to the mine where your miners have told you this vein is, and you see what they were talking about now that you can get a good look at it. There is what is probably the head of this sparkling white creamish ore that is still in the rock that Eben will confirm to you, like, yeah, that's raw mithril.
Ooh, baby.
This is
Yeah,
worth quite a
we
lot.
definitely have no one who can work this, so.
I mean, that's not, this is a specialty ore. Are you looking for somebody that can?
Yes. Do you want to, like, rerun through that conversation?
Yeah, for the sake of the audience.
You did. Okay, cool. I was gonna say I didn't know how important that was to audience size. Yeah, definitely. Do you have someone in mind?
Yeah, there's a someone else from where Allie and I come from called Kit. She's Allie. You remember Master Black Ox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the probably premier smith in the land. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows his stuff. I think.
Everyone wants to buy his stuff.
Yeah. So he takes a number of apprentices all the time, and one of them, Bess, has come to. She's in Doshna Rawl, I think. She's actually down on Mare, where our parents are. But she's in sort of a journeyman phase. But I promise you that Bess can do more than your smiths that you have here. And he's trying to be nice about that. Like, he doesn't want to shit on them. But he's like, I promise you she can probably work with this metal. And yeah, I don't know if you have people that
you
can.
Don't have to be coy about it. Our smiths are great for what they do, but like no one here has any experience with a lot more than iron and copper. Like, it's just we've never found anything else here from what I've gathered. So the skill set's just not there.
Then do you think she could teach them how to work with it as well, as opposed to like just working with it on her own?
Given some time, maybe. It depends on the smiths around here. And them, and like what they think, and if they're going to be willing to be taught by an ox soon.
Some of them might be a problem, but I think it would be fine.
Yeah.
She'll also be able to glamour Evan. Like, she's not a hybrid, so she'll probably be able to glamour just fine if she wants to. I mean, she doesn't have to, of course.
Right, just for her. How things are going to be around here. Most people aren't really prepared for this, and he motions to himself as he has these big tiefling horns, these fox ears. He's just like this combination of two things. He goes,
yeah. Ellie's like, "Hi,
yeah."
We're weird."
Nikki just looks at him blankly. She just doesn't understand. She's like, "What do you mean aren't ready for what?"
Nikki, remember what I told you about it being kind of like most of the way. You've probably met at least one, and you probably didn't know it because they were glamored. We kind of go everywhere glamored mostly. I mean, until recently. And in Dosh, we do it a little bit less because it's become more normal and because King Ren passed a bunch of relatively progressive laws about it. But, for the most part, like, most Kit don't let people see that they're anything other than whatever race is most common in their area. Evan and I have a little bit of a harder time because we're hybrids. Like, I can't glamour myself at all. I have a charm for it. She flips a coin over in her hands. Tails disappear. Ears disappear. She flips the coin over again. Tails come back. Ears come back.
Yeah, I usually just run around as a fox because people don't bother me then.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Makes sense. Sad that it's necessary, I guess, but that's life.
It depends. Some areas are better than others, so again, it depends on where we are.
Fair. But yeah, I put out some feelers with Lady Barrick's daughter about getting some more like experienced smiths to help train the folks here, but nothing yet. So yeah, if you've got someone in mind, I'd certainly be happy to talk to them.
Yeah, sure. I think she's in on Mare right now, working down with Morton.
On there. Yeah, I could head that way in a couple of days, maybe a week.
Okay.
It'd be kind of nice to see Mom and Dad again.
Yeah, and I'm sure Allie, Allie can get you anywhere in that city you want to go. And he smiles very knowingly at his sister. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you passed a lot of red tape.
If we can get to Antara, I can portal us right to Onmar.
Oh yeah, this is nice. What do you think,
That sounds
Kiki? Up
wonderful.
for a little trip, a little business adventure? Kiki.
Kiki,
No,
I
she
need
shrugs.
to take you to Draca Arcana, and I also need to take you to a couple of the Dwarven crafting shop. Because remember how we were talking about the spectrum of subtle to really obvious for pranks, right? Dwarves have this whole holiday called Rambler, and it's literally just a holiday of doing pranks. Preferably doing your pranks like up the ladder, so like you are pranking people hierarchically higher up than you. You don't prank people. You punch up, basically, on Rambler. I think one of the best ones we've seen was the time that... Sorry, Scooter misremembered. Was it Briseis who did that?
Yeah.
All right. That my Aunt Briseis used a powder that temporarily makes hair disappear to make the Dwarven King's beard disappear for a whole day. Oh my god. It was the best. Anyway, I feel like you'd really like Rambler, and I feel like you'd really like some of the dwarf shops that are like set up specifically so people can prepare all year round for this. But also Draca Arcana. Nikki, you'd probably like Draca Arcana too.
It's got arcane in the name. Sounds good to me.
That's right. Kiki had her beak up really close and was checking out the ore. She was kind of fascinated, and then she hears about these like pranks and devices and things, and then she's like, "Brr," like so she's in. You know, she nods.
Okay, so we can. I'm gonna go. Cool. I need to get. He goes. Yeah. He writes a note for his sister Allie about where she can find Bess. At least where he last saw her, because he just came from that city relatively recently. The kind of shop where she's hanging out at. And then he tells you, that'll be it for me. I have to get back to the wilds before Lily tears the place apart.
Tell me what you think about the book, by the way.
I will. Thank you all for having me, and I will graciously accept your hospitality for another day, and then I must be on my way. But it was a pleasure to meet all of you.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Don't be a stranger.
I don't want to be weird about it, but save the goodbyes until we get back out, because we got to do the lever thingy.
Right.
I'm just gonna leave you all here in the mines.
Sorry.
He vanishes. Priest. Talking like Tessa couldn't do that by herself.
I mean, she could.
You folks head out. Eben will also tell you, Nikki.
It's very awkward the whole way since we've already said goodbye.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye, guys.
He said he will.
Guys,
Bye.
Yeah, he just goes. I jumped the gun on that again.
And heading in the same direction.
Yep. So over the next day, he does give you, Nikki, some pointers on this forge, and it is set up to actually smith like very rare ores. Like it is capable of doing this. It's just in a state of disrepair.
Okay, sure. Like I've got the right equipment. I've got a big enough furnace. That's the word I'm looking for. Cool.
Yeah, you have something that can get the fire hot enough to do that. But it's going to take somebody that knows what they're doing. Otherwise, like you can fix it, but you probably want to reinforce it a bit. So he stays for about a day as you all spend like a day just kind of hanging out doing stuff. Then you can head to, if you folks would like, we can fast travel you to Onmar. Or is there anything else you need to do?
Yeah.
I didn't have anything.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Nikki, are you going to tell Wagger Dagger, like, or are you just leaving, like, and just not telling him a thing?
No, I'll talk to Phyllis and give them
Nikki.
the like. No, I'll make sure that my staff like knows that I'm gonna be gone and like, have him be back in.
Oh, are you
back
going,
in his?
Are you going glory seeking, my lady?
Of a sort. Hopefully, finding us a smith who can deal with that fancy ore that the miners found a couple weeks back.
Okay, well that's I should tell you, glory seeking is a very important part of life here in the Peaks. The more renown you get, the more people will come here and be willing to sort of join up with you. So it's something to keep in mind as you're out and about.
I will absolutely keep in mind. I don't anticipate a lot of opportunity for glory on this particular trip, but I will absolutely keep my eyes out.
Which is something for the future, madam.
He says, baiting the DM.
Do it.
I'm sure it's something to very much keep your eye out for. Any sort of reputation is important up here, but having a wonderful smith will certainly bring us, possibly more money or more renown. But I feel like you and your group are very apt to going into various dangerous situations, holes in the earth, seeking glory.
Scoot, just so you know, we've already made that joke like 6 times over in the memes chat.
Yeah, I can tell. I have eyes. I can see the screens.
The listeners can't.
You guys are doing visual jokes in an audio show. Good job.
We're trying to be restrained for what?
Are you?
We're trying. This is us
We're not trying
trying.
to restrain people. We're not trying to be restrained.
That's why Marky's not for children. Even though I'm DMing a bunch of them.
Hey,
Oh.
hey, I resemble that
These are,
remark.
like,
fair.
available for public access, and I'm like, wow, I really hope my parents never listen to my D&D sessions.
So off you folks head. You fast travel down to Antara, and Tessa is able to use the Heartway to get you into the city of Anmer. Now, Anmer is a little bit different. The other major cities in the lands of Doshnaral are kind of above ground, kind of typical cities. This Anmer was an old dwarven settlement, so it was built into a mountain. What you notice is that there's still sort of an outer city kind of down at the base of it, but to the direct north is this festering swamp and mire that you can smell even from where you are. It is referred to as the festering, and you are warned, do not go there. Not without guide of either one of the, what is referred to as one of the rangers of the Orinoco, or one of the lizard folk that happen to live there and kind of go about their lives. So that's if you want to head into there, that's where you go get one of those two people. Into the city, though, you head into this massive, sprawling, underground urban area that has a large ring as you come there, then it begins going down, kind of like a cone. The thing that Allie would be very used to, and even maybe Tessa, but definitely would be very new to Kiki and to Nikki, there are these massive, very thick glass cylinders running all throughout the rim of the mountain, as well as they're sort of popped up on poles. And inside is this reddish, liquidy substance that is just constantly spinning, but it is giving off light, like a street light would. And as you notice, though, it is inside this mountain, which should have no light, or just sort of artificial light. The light is moving to mimic the sun outside. So as you get in there and kind of, Allie is giving you a tour of the place, like, as time moves, it's getting darker as if it's becoming night, but you are underground.
Wacky. Very cool.
Are these glorified lava lamps?
These are
in
indeed
fact
lava
lava
lamps.
Like actual lava lamps.
Yes.
These are an
I like
invention
it.
of the southern dwarves called the Volcani, who are able to sort of manipulate and bend lava to their will.
Lava benders.
Lava benders, and they have done this is one of their hallmark tricks, as this allows them to keep the day and night cycle underground. And while the dwarves don't necessarily care about that, they find it does help the surface folk to kind of not go insane when there's, you can't tell, when your main source of telling time is the sun. When you don't have that anymore, things get janky. So this sort of helps surface folk to kind of deal with that.
How high up are they?
They're high enough so no one can touch them. The big ones that are sort of causing most light. There are some straight lamp ones that Kiki could, in theory, shimmy up a pole and take a look at it.
Kiki's got boots of flight.
Yeah.
Kiki 100% is going to the first one she sees. Like, she probably won't even say anything to the rest of the party, so she's in the bathroom, like, talking. She's just gonna, like, up. Like, she's not gonna, like, fuck with hammer it and shit, but she's gonna be, like, completely mesmerized, because it's, like, liquid light. And so she's gonna be up and, like, kind of like looking at it, and she wants to, like, I want to touch it. Like, she's kind of being very like, she's just going to kind of like hover around the outside, and like if she can see any aspect of the device controlling it from the outside, she'll look at it. So she won't touch, but man, she is mesmerized.
Yeah, you don't. This orb, this very, again, it's an extremely thick, like think like bulletproof glass is just. It's just this lava in there, but you think there might be. It's either an enchantment somewhere, maybe on the pole, or there needs to be something somewhere. Otherwise, the lava would just eventually eat through or cool off this device. But as Kiki's up there, you see a dwarven gentleman just kind of go, "Hey, bird, the fuck you doing?"
Kiki looks around because she's a kenku, not a bird. So she's kind of.
Hey, get out of there! Don't mess with that. You'll get hurt.
Oh, not touch, not touch.
All right,
She's
good.
like, you make? She points at it. She's like, you make?
Yeah, no, I help keep this going, and there's a dwarven gentleman that comes up to you, that is very dark skin, big old dreadlocks on his head hair, as well as the beard. And he's again his skin is black, and he's just kind of like these come from Volcani direct. We finally reconnected with some of our northern kin, so we just made a present of this, and the tieflings around here, they go a little wacky without the sun.
So Kiki will zoom down in front of him from where she was up there, and she'll be like, tell more, and she'll start like asking technical questions. Unless one of her friends realizes that Kiki is basically like mechanically like
is just grilling this civil
servant
servant about how this stuff works.
Yeah, like right, like she's basically asking, I'm guessing the equivalent of a meter maid, how a car is built. Like, like
you're asking a PennDOT guy about roads, and he's like, he can answer some of the questions. He's like, well, we do the lava, and we can't tell you everything about it. We don't want to mess with the lava grid. And he's like,
lava grid.
Yeah,
I know. She's taking notes.
Dude, with Allie's passive perception of 22, would she notice that Kiki's lagging behind at this point?
If you've left Kiki, like Kiki darted off, so it's a matter of, do you care where Kiki went? But you definitely heard that guy scream at the bird.
If I heard him yell at the bird, then I would assume it was Kiki.
Yeah, it's basically someone has climbed a street light to take a look at, and they're like, "What are you doing? Like, get down."
Ellie, what do you expect?
Yeah.
You greased this, we don't care. I've got boots of flight.
That's a thing that happened.
I'm picturing now that Mare actually does have greased lampposts, and Kiki was just like, I've got boots of flight, bitch.
Yeah, she's
Find out.
Kiki, you're if you want to know more about that, you could there's probably better places to ask, like the Engineers Guild, or I don't know, I guess the library, or like, but the Engineers Guild is a place to go.
So the dwarf hears this and turns around, and he sees you. The rest of you notice notice.
Well, he does not have her glamour on currently.
Right, and he's like, "Oh, your ladyship! I didn't know you were back in the city. Are these your friends?"
Yes. No, they're with me. Please don't call me your leadership.
He looks like he doesn't know what to do with that. He's like,
just call me Allie. Come, for crying out loud! I've pranked your boss. Just call me Allie.
Kiki looks between Ali and the guy, because this ladyship thing is new information to her, and so she's just like,
yeah. So he looks at the
I just
kangaroo.
wanted to know how to lamp one.
Yeah, no. Engineers Guild would be the best place for her to learn about these, right?
Yeah. Do you need an appointment? We can go request one for you.
Kiki, do you want to talk to the engineers?
Oh, later's fine. She realizes like we were here with his task. He's feeling.
Will it be a problem if we just dropped in on them later? Do we need an appointment?
No. Your father has always been a very big supporter of the guild, so we'd be happy to show your Kenku very tiny Arako. I don't know. You are. Are you just a very small Arakoa, or are you a Kenku? Okay, your Kenku friend here.
Kenku.
Yeah, your Kenku friend here. How lava works without getting a burned. because we wouldn't want that.
No, she's not fire resistance. Yeah, no, we'll come by later. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Yet. Kiki shakes his hand very vigorously. She's so excited.
Yeah. He's a big, strong guy. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, you're moving his arm a lot. He's like, all right, we'll see you there, Miss Kiki. Was it? Yeah, drop by whenever. And he just does his best to
Thank you.
very politely move away from the group.
Kiki falls back in line. With the group. She'll try not to.
So where are you off to, Allie? Where are you leading this group? Are you heading to Draca, or are you heading to home? Where are you off to?
So I was thinking, and like should be discussing with the group. Like, look, we want to talk to this Oxun, and we want to. I definitely have to take you guys to Draca Arcana, and I should probably figure out somewhere for us to stay if we're gonna stay the night. Which, like, I could totally do. My parents have extra space, but which, like, Nikki, do you have any preference for, like, what we do first? Do you want us to go talk to this Oxun? Because, like, that's why we came here in the first place. Like, do you want us to prioritize that?
Probably worth knocking it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we
we'll
can
have the
suppose
rest of the time to ourselves.
Okay. So
we're going to go see Bess first, then.
Off to see Bess. So you head up into... there's definitely an area of this place, like a part of one of the rings on the second level down, that is made for forging and crafting. So, like, they have a way to vent all the smoke so it doesn't choke out the inside of the mountain. And you go where Eben has told you to go, and you see a crowd just sort of watching something happening. And there's dwarves and tieflings and these other various beings with, like, they look like humans, but they have really big, like, they have, like, floppy and big rabbit ears. There's really big ones with tiny, tiny fuzzy tails on their butts. Like, there's, like, variety of creatures. There's also a couple of these massive crocodilian creatures that are just, like, enamored with what's happening. There's one of them that also has boots of flight, but he's inverted. So, like, his feet are in the air, and
We've met him before.
Yeah. He's just sort of, well, you saw him before.
Yes.
He's just sort of floating there with another smaller, kind of more gecko-y one that's sitting, like, on his feet, that is just watching, and you just hear a, like, clang, 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 as if two people are hammering at the same time.
I'm going to guess Bess is behind there somewhere.
I'll try and
Actually get through the crowd or not really?
It's not so packed. There's a lot of big, bulky dwarves, and you're just gonna take some doing.
Hello, I am a monk. My stat is Dex.
Your friends may not be.
Well,
mine's
one of them's
not,
small.
but I'll try.
One of them's big. I think that leaves Nikki to figure out.
I'll
I'm
do
just
my
thinking
darndest.
maybe Nikki could just, like, follow in the wake of Tessa.
Tess actually has a +3 to Dex. So she's surprisingly dexterous for being very, very big.
Okay, everyone make me dex checks, please, to see how gracefully you can pull through these crowds without just bowing them over. First roll of the night.
Oh, Tessa does terribly. I got
22 from Nick.
so much for that. I was trying.
Really?
Question: how
Wow.
high? Or is there a ceiling above us, or?
There are rooftops you could get to.
Well, no. I mean, in theory,
Nikki wants to know if she can fly over them.
float.
Yeah,
She could like float above, but
you're underneath the mountain, so you could just float above the crowd if you would like.
you rolled an 11.
So Tessa is just sort of like, I've got this, and just sort of barrels through the crowd to the front, and everyone just sort of gets out of her way as, like, wings spurt out she doesn't mean it, but, like, the wings come there, and everyone's just like, oh no, and then everyone
She's kind of just, like, apologizing to everybody as she, like,
everyone's
follows
like,
behind.
oh god, we're so sorry as you all move in, but Nikki, you're able to kind of use this confusion because you were a street urchin for a long time, and, like, wow, Tessa's being able to distraction to slip over another part of the crowd and get a front row seat without anyone really noticing. And you sort of hunker down in front of one of these huge humanoids with sort of bare ears and a little tail on them. And what you see is this this sort of would be like a middle-aged dwarf, like big beard, clearly like giant muscular arms, just in like just there. He seems to be trying to make an axe head, but across from him and another anvil is this surprisingly lithe woman that has these like tiny like cow horns coming out this side of her head, but she otherwise just looks like, you know, she maybe weighs like $120 and she's like decently tall. So she's not overly huge. But she is just hammering away at this other. She's also with an axe head, and they're just hammering them and squelching them and then hammering them, heating them up. And they seem to be in a race to make this axe head.
That is extremely cool.
Yep. So the crowd is cheering as the woman with the tiny, like the sort of smaller cow horns finishes first. The dwarf comes in very, very quickly after, but you can see that he is sort of huffing and puffing as if he's had to exert a lot more energy. And she's also, again, sweat is coming off of her. They're both in front of a forge and a fire. And as you look at them, I would like everyone to make perception checks, please. Perception checks.
28.
28 from
A
Allie.
nat 20 from Nikki.
Damn.
18 from
Kiki got a
Tessa.
Kiki got a 7.
I got a rock.
I got a rock. She's like, ooh, lava lamp still.
Yeah, and Kiki, as you float up, there's a much bigger tube that's probably the size of Tessa, like, bolted up on the wall. And it's huge. The rest of you notice that this woman with the horns is, despite, as you kind of not looked at her, she doesn't look very muscular, but as she's breathing kind of from the exertion, Allie, you can see the muscles in her arms. Like, they're not overly huge, but they're definitely they're there. It's a lot more cut than just bulky. Unlike the dwarven gentleman, who has like big old smith arms. And everyone is able to notice that, except for Kiki, who is very distracted by this massive magical mechanism. A elderly dwarven gentleman comes out, who seems to probably be the judge of this competition. He looks at both axe heads, and then he awards the contest to the woman, and the crowd cheers, and there's an exchange of money. But the other dwarven smith that was her competitor just kind of gives a sigh, and then walks over, congratulates her very genuinely. He's pissed that he lost, but he seems to be more pissed at himself than like, oh, you're terrible. But like, no, you won fair and square. And then apprentices come and take the axe heads to go further work on them and make them into something. But at that point, the crowd then begins to slowly disperse now that the show is over.
Dude, is there Allie would be at least somewhat familiar with how the forges here are laid out, having visited Eben here a number of times? Like, would she know where, like, basically, like, the nearest place where she could get a cup of water is?
Depends on what kind of water you want.
I just want to get, like, a regular, like, glass of water to give to Bess.
Yeah, there are eateries and taverns kind of all around. The smiths like to drink.
I mean, do the forges have, like, a water cooler, basically?
Yeah, they will have water that is separate from their squelching. So there are wells and stuff around that they can just drink because they can. Am I saying that right? Quenching. Squelching. Jesus. Quenching.
Oh, I'm just laughing about the thought of there's water to drink that's not quenching. I'm like, ew. That was my reaction.
I'll drop some water then and grab a kind of cup and bring it over to Bess.
Yeah, so thank you, and she puts it down very quickly, as she's probably used to forge heat, but she is not resistant to it like Eben is. Eben can stand in front of a fire all day and not be
Right.
bothered by it.
I'm going to guess you're Bess.
That'd be me. And who are you all?
Allie Fox. This is Lady Nikki Doxborn,
Oh.
Tessa, and Kiki.
So she hears lady and
Okay.
begins like kind of like trying to gussy up a bit. She
No,
is
no,
just
don't worry.
covered in sweat, just from being in the
Oh.
race and everything.
Don't worry. You're fine.
Oh, okay. How can I help you all?
My brother actually sent me your way. Evan Fox, he's also a blacksmith. Four Tails, you might have noticed him.
You're Evan's sister.
Yeah.
Which means you're Lord Bramba's daughter.
Yeah. Is that a problem?
No, she says, sort of like, I'm in front of a very important person, or the child of a very important person, and like, I don't know if this is a sting, or if this is like, I don't know what to do right now.
No, so anyway, Lady Nikki's holdings are north of here.
Uh-huh.
Directions are hard. And they recently discovered a mithril vein in some of their mines, but nobody up there knows how to work it, and Evan would have worked it, but he's kind of off with his girlfriend. Very important, apparently. Anyway, Nikki, you were I think
the big
you were
titty
interested
fey
in
girl,
having-
she says.
what's that?
The big titty fey girl.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yes. Anyway, Nikki, I think you were thinking about maybe having someone who does know how to work Mithril come in and see what they can do.
Yeah, that about sums it up. I'll turn to Bess, and I've been journeying with Tessa here for quite a while, and she speaks highly of Ali and her family, and Yvonne spoke highly of you. And I've got a bit of a holdings up in what's the region?
The Free Peaks.
I mean, thank you. Yeah, up in the Free Peaks. And we don't have any smiths who can work mithril, and we found some raw mithril. So looking to if you're interested, you come highly recommended. You can work out all the businessy bits, or if you could recommend anyone else if you're not interested.
Oh no, I would be very interested. I just wow, mithril. Wasn't really expecting for that to happen. I'm very glad I took Grimm's
Yeah, neither were
challenge.
we.
Yeah. I would be happy to. I just need to gather up some things. I was here learning from the Dwarven Masters, but I would.
Oh yeah, no,
this
wouldn't be like
warn you though. I'm not
2 hours from now. There.
Yeah, I'm not a master. I'm just in the journeying part of my crafting. So I don't know if you want to talk to somebody who's maybe more experienced. And she seems you don't need to have projected that she's sort of, despite the show she just put on, she seems to sort of doubt her skill because of her, in theory, noviceness, and also, but looking at it for what Ali and Tessa would know, like, she's working with dwarves that live probably twice her lifespan.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that they've been mean to her or like they've been dicks. It's just that like they have a wealth more knowledge because they have lived much, much longer than her and have had lots more time to practice.
I mean, you literally trained under Black Ox. I don't think we're going to get much better around here.
I don't like to talk about that, she says.
That's fair. We can carry on not mentioning it. But seriously, from what you just showed and from Evan's recommendation, I mean, I'm not the one making the decision here, but if I were, I would be more than fine with hiring you.
Nikki nods and tries to look.
Well, then I think we
pleasant.
have I would take that deal. I just need to make some arrangements. I could be ready by a day or two. A couple
Yeah,
of
that's
orders I
fine.
need to
We're going to
finish.
be in the city for a little bit anyway.
Okay, awesome, wonderful. And there's this sort of like immediate happiness as she's like, holy shit, like I just got a job, like a real fucking job. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, where do I contact you? Where are you staying in the city?
We literally just got in. We're probably going to stay with my parents. I don't think they're going to have a problem with that.
Oh, okay.
I guess you got to think if you said it's going to take you like a day or so. Do you want to just do you want to come over for dinner tomorrow and then we can head back after that?
she just stares at you, open mouth, because you've just invited her to the Lord Protector of this entire city and region. You've just casually invited her for dinner, and she's like, "Yes."
Please don't dress up. You don't have to dress up. I've got 4 siblings, and they're all going to shed fox fur everywhere. Don't dress up. Just wear normal clothes.
She still looks panicked.
Would you rather like eat at one of the pubs? Would that be better?
Your house will be fine. And she's just like, oh yeah, sorry. Whew. Yeah, no, your house would be fine. Yeah, I think that would be okay. You know, I don't want to make you any additional expenses, I guess.
Okay. Great. I will tell my parents that there's going to be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counting Thrax. Tessa, do we count Bosco as an entire person for the purposes of dinner?
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone nods.
7.
Probably 2, Thrax says.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I already counted
Bosco's
Thrax.
your plus.
No,
he's
no,
your plus
Thrax
2.
tells you Bosco counts as 2.
Look at it. Takes up all of the room.
So dense. So she.
Great. I
yeah, she-
will tell my parents that it's going to be an extra 7 for dinner tomorrow night. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. My mom loves cooking.
Okay, I'll see you there at dinner time.
Yeah, come by like 6. Yeah,
Okay.
I promise to keep my little brothers from eating everything till at least 6 o'clock. If you come after 6:30, I can't promise that they haven't gone through the entirety of the bacon by then.
Okay, I will be there on time.
Great.
And you see her move away from you, and you just hear like a yes in the distance as she runs off somewhere.
Allie's just like, this is why I don't date people from my city. They all do that. All of them.
Kiki goes up to Ali and kind of tugs on her sleeve a little bit. And she's like, "You big deal? You big deal here?" Like she's kind of cluey again.
Right. Sorry. So my dad's the steward and Lord Protector of Von Mare, and my mom's the director of the Heart Center here, which is kind of like the hospital for this whole city.
Oh, okay.
I guess technically.
Kiki nods like,
Anyway, it gets us through red tape, which is the more important part. I try not to use it too much, though. I don't like to end note. It feels like cheating. Anyway, let's go to Draca Arcana. I think you guys will like it. Allie looks like definitely awkward about like, I don't want to talk about the fact that I'm a big fucking deal here. Let's ignore that.
Off to the place you go. So you head into, and this will probably be the. I don't know if Tessa would have been. Tessa would have been. You'd have been the other one, yeah. So again, for Kiki,
I've been to both. I've been on here before.
right? So for Nikki and Kiki, this is a very very different thing. As you see this crazily decked out magic shop, but it's what is that old? That was that old toy store back in New York. Well,
Beanie Brady? Oh no.
the one. Big
I know what you're
was in-
talking about.
Yeah, it's the name.
Yeah.
I've been in that store too. I can't remember the name. I know exactly what you're talking about.
FEO, no, something.
FEO
R.A.O.
Schwartz.
Schwartz?
R.A.O. Schwartz
R.A.O.
or something.
Schwartz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you walk in and there is just all sorts of magical shit just everywhere. There's potions brewing. There's accoutrement and items galore. And Kiki, there's just little inventions just moving around to the point where this is like, it's functionally a toy store for you. Like, it's just like, there's so much magical tinkering things here.
she'll probably give herself whiplash, like trying to take everything in at once.
Allie is genuinely delighted watching Kiki like get so excited about everything in here.
Yep. Nikki, the thing you would probably notice that would strike you as odd, but perhaps not the other two, is that behind the counter, like there are attendants kind of moving around and doing things that are various types of people, but behind the main counter, kind of working on what looks to be a sword, like putting an enchantment on it, is a dragonborn, but the dragonborn is platinum.
Okay.
And that's not a color or type of thing dragonborn come in that you've ever seen. And it's definitely not silver, it's platinum.
Okay. I'm gonna just head up to the counter and just kind of like look over it. Can I get a sense for how complex the enchantment in question is?
Extremely.
Okay.
It seems like he's made his own.
Oh.
Like he's doing custom work on this.
Can I tell? So, like, from all of the theoretical magic work that I was doing with Neva over the last couple of months, can I tell anything?
Make an Arcana check.
Anything interesting about what's going on here?
Yeah, make an Arcana check.
I don't believe that. A 19 total.
You are seeing what he's doing with it. He seems to be more or less inscribing a spell into the blade to get it to sort of change its properties a bit. He seems to be infusing probably like a spell to get this thing to harden and soften as on a command. But this looks almost experimental, like he's messing with it.
I'm going to not interrupt while he's actively casting. But like kind of bounce on the other side of the counter and wait for him to to like get to a pause in the cast and be able to like
There's a moment where he finishes it and the blade just turns to goop. Just into almost like a mercury liquid. And he's like, fuck. Oh, sorry. Hello? Hi. Can I help you?
Maybe. What were you trying to do there? That was, I don't think I've ever seen an enchantment quite like that.
Well,
that was fascinating.
Trying to mess with like a turning to stone type situation to see if I could make the metal harder or softer so it would bend more readily, but not too much. Obviously that was too much. And he says it's sort of like as the liquid is now like congealed back into just like different chunks, but it's solid again. And he's like, I have to fix this. Nikki, the more you look at him though, now that you're closer, his scales are incredibly scarred. There are deep scars that look like lashes and lacerations all over him. They've healed. Like it's been a while, but you can see that some of them are sort of gone. Some of them are so deep that they've left imprints there. But it's all of his visible body that you can see.
My God.
Because he is wearing clothing, so he's just like there's deep running scars in parts of him.
Can I tell where he overdid it on the spell? Like from watching him cast?
He was leaning. He just didn't get the balance right of making the spell able to react enough to solidify or to basically soften or harden.
Why do I feel like Nikki is currently processing like, clearly we need to make this like a ritual where we have a lower limiter on the maximum amount of softness required and then an upper limit of the maximum amount of hardness required.
Correct.
It looks like he's trying to figure that out, but this is something where it's just a lot of trial and error of like, I don't know.
Sure.
You know, based on the metal he's using, those kind of things. So and he kind of puts everything away and he sort of gets a jar and starts putting the metal pieces into it, but some of them go back to liquid when he put it to the bottom of the jar. Some of them stay solid. He goes, oh, look at that. So, I'm sorry.
Hey, Rocky.
Oh, no. And this big smile comes on his face, like big toothy lizardy grin from this Dragonborn. You're back already? Did we find fame and fortune out there?
No and no. Did find plenty of adventure.
And you found a Benkala.
Fuck you, I'm famous.
Yes, I acquired a Benkala. Every good adventuring party needs one.
Hey.
You're the one that's Tessa, right?
Yep, that's me.
Okay, there's a lot of you. So, I'm sorry.
I'm the big one.
That's how I knew you were Tessa.
This is Nikki, Lady Darkspawn. She's got a holding up in the Three Peaks, and she's a wizard. Wizard, yes. And the one who's currently running all around everywhere. No, that's Kiki. She's a Kenku. She's the tinkerer. She's When she notices that there's someone in here who made these things, she's going to have a lot of questions for you. Like, a lot.
Kiki's basically acting like she's a kid who's had too much sugar. You described it very well. She's bouncing from thing to thing. She can't focus on any one.
Well, I hope she doesn't break anything or overstimulate herself too much.
You lead on the latter one, I think.
I'm more concerned with the first one, to be honest, but I don't know, she's your problem, I guess.
But after you finish telling Nikki about whatever it is you're working on and talk about magic and rituals and stuff, you should definitely tell her about the other room. She'd be interested.
Oh, that one.
Chastity, too.
That's where Chastity is. And he pronounced it Chastity. The emphasis is on the second part of the name.
Yep.
Yeah, she's in the back doing inventory.
Inventory or doing the inventory?
Make an insight check.
Nikki was like, what?
21.
And then Allie makes that pun, and Nikki goes, ah.
You can no, she's doing business. Like, this is hours. Yeah. Like, they have to do things. You're like the middle of the day. Yeah.
Before.
So, the other thing that probably Nikki would notice, there's a lot of other non-typical wizard things here. Things that might be used for fun times. There's multicolored rope. There are various various bludgeoning weapons. If this was a Saints Row's game,
Nikki has not seen the rainbow rope yet.
That's fine.
Nikki has been told about the rainbow rope, though.
So, are you folks here just to buy? Are you here to buy, or are you just gawking at everything?
Little from column A, little from column B.
I have a lot of money burning a hole in my pocket. This seems like a good opportunity to buy something.
The Vankala's probably going to buy some stuff. The Kenku learn everything possible from you. Nikki's definitely going to buy something, probably from the back room, and I might buy something depending on how much I can barter with you today.
You're just as poor as last time, aren't you?
No, I'm less poor than last time, but not by much.
Fair enough. Which one of you has the most money?
That'd be the Vankala.
Let's start with her then.
Oh, what's on the list? What do we got?
So this is Draca Arcana. Tessa, you would know this has every conceivable magic item, potion, enchantments that you could probably think of.
Oh man!
And if he doesn't have it, he might be able to make it.
Ooh, I wasn't thinking about cool magical items lately. I should. I can always go with some kind of armor improvement. That can never hurt.
What are you working with now?
And she kind of just gestures to her kind of default armor that she's been wearing since the beginning.
And he waves you up to him.
And I walk up.
Any enchantments or anything on it? He looks at the rest of the group and he goes, "You're the bruiser of the group, aren't you?"
Correct.
Okay. You get hit a lot?
Oh yeah. But I also do a lot of hitting.
Right. So what if when you got hit, you also hit?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of ideas for here. What's your budget? He says, looking at you as he...
I don't know, like 1,000 gold.
Oh, and he looks to Allie, an actual customer.
Tessa just doesn't even care about throwing out a number like that. She's not like very good at bartering or anything.
Well, with 1,000 gold, we can do a lot of things with this armor. I mean, we can just make it harder and tougher, up your defense, or there's a special trick I've been working on lately that I was working on with Dad. This voice is hard on Scoot's voice, but we're going to keep doing it for as long as I can. We call it the payback enchant. And what this would do, Deb, is functionally when you get hit, you may spend your opportunity, like like the action that you do an attack of opportunity to just strike somebody. Strike the person that hit you.
So if I get hit with any melee attack, I can just get like a free swing.
Yeah, it's a retaliatory swing that uses your immediate reaction. So that way, you would give
reaction. Okay.
Reaction. As an immediate reaction, you can just take a swing.
Love it. I'm all about that.
All right. That'll run you. Now, how good do you want it? Because there's 2 levels of this.
What's the higher level?
It describes in such a way that would basically tell you mechanically your retaliatory attack would be with advantage.
Yeah, let's do that.
So that'll run you about 900 gold.
She doesn't even really hesitate. She just kind of pulls it out. She's like, yeah, it's totally fair.
Well, you folks don't notice this. You do see Thrax in the background, like, God, that's so much fucking money. Like,
you cut out. I didn't hear anything you said.
Yeah, so in the back, you just see Thrax going, that's so much fucking money. Like, that's a lot more money than he's used to seeing. Certainly as, like, this ranger for hire. So you pop it out and he goes, all right, come back in a day or 2 and I'll have this rip-roaring ready to go.
Cool. I think we're heading out tomorrow. Would it be ready by then?
Yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Sure, as long as you, as long as, well, honestly, that's going to depend on what the others order.
True.
Okay, so you hand him the armor, you hand him the money, and he will get to work on that.
Cool.
All right, who's got the second most money? Let's go down the list.
I don't know. It's either me or Kiki, because, like, process of elimination, Allie's poor, right?
Yeah.
But
Ellie's absolutely the poorest one here by a large margin.
Nikki's got, like, a manor now, so I imagine, like, the estate
That's true.
probably gave you a little... You probably have more money than I do, actually.
actually, I might, but it's not on my character
fund,
sheet, so it doesn't
baby.
exist. I'd like to think that all of my estate money is currently being reinvested to like improve stuff that's been neglected since Grandma was like dying, and then there was nobody there to like the the keeper was only authorized to spend so much. And,
You're struggling with liquidity.
yes, we'll go with that. I'm not struggling. Come on. But no, I'd like to. I think at least for ease of not having to deal with an estate's worth of finances right now as a player, I'm just gonna say all of the estate income is just instantly reinvested. I've got like a hair over 2K.
All right, so what are you looking for, my magical friend?
So I haven't really been looking for anything in particular, but in here looking around. What do you have by way of robes, cloaks? Sort of the, traditional aesthetic, but with a bit of a zip to it.
Offensive or defensive?
Boy, probably defensive is the better call. Nikki is much more excited by offensive, but she's like, I should probably consider safety at some point now that defensive.
Now that I have to live for something.
Yes.
So you see him put two fingers in his mouth, and he does the whistle, and you see this orb float down from a shelf and just start to hover on his shoulder. And it just spins a little bit. Like it's just in the air spinning.
Just like kind of like an epaulette, just like
just kind of sits there.
Okay. Yeah. What sure looks cool.
This one's very popular amongst you range people. It kind of watches your blind spots for you, and it'll be able to take a couple of hits from big old mean nasty axe or something before it'll here, hold on, let's do this. Tessa, you got a blade?
I sure do. I pull out my sword.
Okay, so he just pushes it. He pushes it towards you and goes, "Go ahead and give that a whack."
So Tessa's kind of looking at it. It's just like
it's
floating there. It's not on.
Air, yeah.
Okay. So then I'm just gonna whack it pretty hard. Like not full
Not full
power,
force.
just maybe like 50% power.
Right, so Tessa's sword comes in, and it gets stuck in the orb.
Ooh.
And like Tessa's strong enough to easily free it, but there was definitely a moment where Tessa was like, "What the fuck?" and had to yank. She had
It's
to,
like
yeah. It took her a second to be like to pull it out. She did get it out pretty easily because Tessa's very strong, but it held the blade there.
This looks pretty much amazing.
Mm-hmm.
you need this.
Yeah, I probably do. What does it cost, my good sir?
This I don't know. This would be roughly around 1,000.
But
Yeah, right. That
Okay.
honestly.
Oh, it's so easy, he says, looking at Allie. People have
Nikki
money.
would be a haggler because she grew up poor. Robert hates haggling. Can I just like roll to
Yeah,
haggle instead
make
of
a
RPing it?
persuasion check, and I'll roll for him, and we'll see.
haggling is the most uncomfortable experience for me personally.
I hate it so
I
much.
hate it. I will just pay whatever you tell me.
Your work is worth anything less than you tell me it is.
Ugh. 13.
He critically succeeded.
Okay.
Despite your best effort, you're like, but this and this quality. He's like, no, it's 1,000. It's 1,000. You know, we have plenty of other stuff.
Racky, what if she gets a couple of more things, could she potentially get a discount on the whole order?
Sure, she bought a couple more things.
Nikki, you really need to check out the back room.
Okay.
Racky, can I take her back there since Chastity's doing inventory?
Sure, I'll deal with the Kenku next. Because where did the Kenku go? He says, sounding a little concerned.
Try looking up.
He looks up.
I'm assuming Kiki is like hovering around you.
Look at him and be like, kind of panting from over.
Okay, Kenku, breathe for me. Breathe.
She'll take one breath.
Okay, you're fine.
Check.
He looks at the stuff because you did like the upper levels is where he keeps things that are like sort of busted, and he's not sure anyone will want, but he doesn't. You know, he might pull for parts.
As the player, I don't want Kiki to have this, but I'm being so true to her. Like she would just grab the most. You ever see those game shows where like you could go through the store and you could
Yeah.
anything you can get your card in like 20 minutes? Like
I love supermarket
she's
sweep.
also never. Yeah, and she's also never had money ever until she joined up with this party. So she's almost like she doesn't know what to do. So she's not being selective. Anyone who has even low perception, I think, would pick up on it.
So he's just looking at like the random mismatch of like as Deb said, those like random pieces of cloth that are like different sizes, and he's like, and he's like doing math of like, is the Keku fucking with me, or like is does she? And he's looking at you like, do you really want this? This is what you want?
No, that's on brand. You know, she likes to tinker with things, so
All right.
this is kind of like a dream come true.
Yeah, Kiki will kind of like breathe a little bit and kind of calm down, and she's like, "Oh, should not get." And then
No.
she kind of maybe is a little more discerning. Like,
I mean, if look, you want
maybe I just
half of it. You want this stuff, like this stuff's sellable. Nothing's dangerous. Nothing's gonna hurt you. But you would want to use these for parts and scrap than the items themselves. Is that something you do?
as soon as you said nothing dangerous, she immediately loses all interest. She's like, "Oh."
Rocky, I think you just talked yourself out of a sale.
Are we looking for dangerous? Because we got dangerous.
And she kind of like her eyes start sparkling again.
Now, what kind of danger do we do, Kenku?
Oh, so she pulls out her trusty crossbow that she has modified, with sigils, and she starts explaining about how it does magic missile, and maybe like she didn't know if it was like a +1, would that add to things, or does that not convey? She also has plans to put another enchantment. She pulls out an explosive, remembers to de-arm it, puts it on
Yeah.
the counter. And then
Remembers
she's
to
like-
de-arm
and then
it.
Yeah, she's just like, right. She's like, note to self, you are like, and she starts pulling out her Vorpal dagger a little bit, and then she's like, and then she kind of like puts it back.
Whoa,
She
whoa,
decides to
whoa.
stick with.
He asked you, wait, can I see that dagger?
She looks suspiciously, but she pulls it up, and like
So I have
shows it.
a proposition for you, Kengu.
She narrows her eyes, but doesn't.
Sorry, not into that.
One moment. And he heads into it. He heads into a back room, and he comes out with a rifle, like a gun.
Why are we giving Kiki a rifle?
Kiki's got a gun.
Birds with guns.
It is.
Birds
So it's
with
not like
guns.
it's not a long barrel. It actually is
Gaffer,
more of a
Gaffer.
it's more of a shotgun type of deal. So it's a little chunkier. It's got 2 barrels. And he's already enchanted some of it with magic to make it work. And he puts it down in front of Kiki. He goes, "It's not loaded, so you feel free to tinker with it and do whatever, check it out."
She looks at it. She looks at him. She's like, she looks at it and looks at him again. She's like, "What it do?"
Oh, come with me, my tiny friend, and I will show you. And he takes it, and he takes you to like an area in the back where like weapons can be tested safely. So he takes 2 what look to be shells. Like Kiki would not know what these are, but they look like magically immune shotgun shells. He puts them in. He gets about 15 feet from a target, and he pulls one of the 2 triggers, because it's basically, again, it's a sawed-off shotgun, and you just see a hail. You hear a cacophonous kaboom, an earth-shattering kaboom, as Marvin the Martian would say, and you just see,
Shattering kaboom.
you see the dummy, who is wearing, like, shittier armor, it just rips through it. There are now holes in the armor where there were not before.
Kiki's eyes go wide. One of them even twitches slightly. So she starts trying to do calculations about how much damage it does compared to her bombs. Now she can only have 4 pre-made items at any one time.
Mhm.
Right. So she's a little bit like, she's trying to calculate, is it, does it have range on her bombs? Is it like she's trying to figure out what.
So are you going to tell him about that? Because he'll watch you doing calculation.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
So he will tell you that, like,
She'll probably be drawing on his wall unless he stops her.
he'll give you paper so you don't draw on his, like, establishment. And they go, well, here's the thing. We call this a boomstick. It's not, you got them little bombs there, and those will certainly do more of an area damage. But this is something that could help out your friends and even Tessa. Because as you can see, he walks over to the armor, and he's like, this is very good at making armor less effective. So you hit something with this blast, your friends will have an easier time hitting. It will lower AC.
It lowers AC?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Ooh, that would be really.
You still have to aim
helpful.
and fire it, and you have to get decently close. He says you can only do like a 20-foot max range, because again, it's a shotgun. It's not made for distance. But if you're caught in melee and you pop this, it's gonna probably stun them. It's gonna do some damage, but it's gonna make them easier to hit, because it will lower their AC.
He's intrigued. She kind of looks at him, looks at the boomstick, and she nods. Like she does this kind of wheeling and dealing all the time, which she never has.
So I will offer you a trade, Kenku. I will give you the boomstick, and I will show you how to make the rounds that I've made that did that for that dagger.
Mm-hmm. He has no idea if this is a good deal or not. I just know her having a dagger is not great because her strength.
What was the dagger special?
It's Vorpal.
It's a Vorpal.
Oh, right. That okay. I remember now. Sorry.
But like, she has no strength whatsoever, so the odds that she would actually do true melee it's just pretty low. She'll actually, if her friends around, she'll kind of look to them through Slap chats. She'll be like, fair deal? Fair deal? Like, she has no idea. So, but she doesn't even know if her friends know wheeling and dealing.
Tessa have an understanding of how much a Vorpal braid would cost since she's been around a lot of weapons?
It is a very, very rare metal, certainly. But this is also a very interesting, powerful contraption. So I don't know if Tessa has... Like, Tessa knows the value of Vorpal. It is a very valuable metal. But
is it worth, like, 1,000 gold? Like, the comparable, like, to the boomstick?
Make a knowledge check, Tessa. Just a straight int. Make a straight int check.
Oof. All right.
Let's see how smart Tessa is. 10.
10.
Yeah.
Solid average.
Yeah, from what you know, like, you think that is the with the boomstick and him teaching Kiki how to make the ammo, is it exactly fair trade? Like, maybe not. Like, you know, he's definitely not trying to cheat her.
I think what I would say then is, well, what do you think you would use more in a pinch? Like, if you're in a situation like you were in before, what do you think would benefit? Because Vorpal is an expensive metal, but, I mean, it's really your decision.
Oh, yeah. Kiki has yet to use her dagger, to be really honest. So she'll lean toward making the deal, but she'll try to, like, wheedle something out of him, like 20 rounds of ammunition or something, like starter. She wants some sort of.
He will give you he will give you the plans for how to make it, and he will give you 20 rounds, because this is specialty ammo, so you can use this like you use your crossbow, Kiki, but like this is the type of specialty ammo that you will need to keep track of. Like, we don't worry normally about, like, your...
It's not like arrows.
No,
right?
it's not arrows.
Right. Yeah, it's not like...
Yeah, this is specialty ammo.
She can go anywhere.
Yeah.
She nods to him and puts out her...
he'll put out his Draconic Claw, and he will shake them. And he will go, okay, let's get this squared away, then. And he will take the dagger from you. Well, you will ask for the dagger.
Yeah, she'll hand it.
He takes it, he gives you the gun, and you head out back into the shop where he will, like, he will make copies of plans to show you, like, a list of how to make the ammunition. And now what Kiki can do is, during those days where, like, if you're full on bombs, you can use, so if you have, like, downtime, you can use those chances to make things to make more ammo.
Excellent.
So, Allie, you're in the back with Nikki. Do you want to explain to Nikki what's in the back?
Right. So the back room is clearly like it's the back room of Spencer's, functionally, but way better.
Okay.
Because 1, magic, and 2, way less fucking skeevy.
I was literally about to say less skeevy. You
So
took
much
the words
less.
actually right out of my mouth.
It is well lit. It is clearly, like, clean. It is, like, things are displayed neatly and in an organized fashion. There's no, like, we're hiding this in the back out of shame. It's more like, we keep it back here because there are kids in the shop sometimes, and this is a place for adults to come, but it's a place to buy things legitimately as you buy other things.
Not being fucking weird about it. Oh.
So there's, like, a section for rope and restraints. There is a section for, like, implements. There are sections for what are very clearly, like, the magical equivalent of a vibrator or dildo of some sort. It's basically, like...
Implements is so amazingly vague. Oh, that's fantastic. I will definitely...
Allie does point to a couple things as particularly worth it, including a rainbow rope on one wall, a couple of the implements, and then 1 or 2 particular vibrators.
Okay. I will just trust Allie on this, and grab one of each. What's up with the rope, Allie?
Oh, so the rainbow rope does different things depending on, like, which color it is, and you have to get attuned to it first because it's I don't know, magic and shit. But anyway, it's
Nikki
Sorry,
like opens her mouth to
I'm
start
trying
like
to-
explaining the theory of why you have to attune
I'm
to
trying to
things.
scroll back up to find because Scoot wrote out what the rainbow rope does, and I'm trying to find it. So 1 second. Oh, here we go. Right. So you have to have some amount of attunement to it so that you can like give it commands because you have to command it to change what color it is. Red will change it to warm. Orange will tighten it up to the point that you tell it to stop tightening. Yellow, it becomes invisible, so they can wear it wherever. Green completely undoes itself. No need for scissors ever. It'll just undo itself. Blue, it gets cold.
Fucking brilliant.
Indigo, it basically becomes a weighted blanket, which was actually really useful while traveling. And violet is clearly the most fun because violet makes it vibrate.
Ooh. I was trying to put together like a vibrate violet. There's a pun in there somewhere, but I couldn't put it together.
Violate.
Yeah.
No. It only works if the person wearing it is consenting and the person using it is consenting.
Etc. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll buy one of each. What does that run me? The rope, the specific implements that Ali recommended, the specific vibrators that Ali recommended. I trust her judgment.
He will.
She's proven herself trustworthy.
Raggy looks as you come out of the back with like an arm full of sex toys and rope. He's like, "Okay, your full bill here is carry the 4. You're looking at about 2,000 gold.
Is that with or without the discount?
That's with the discount."
Okay. I already rolled to haggle, but that's a lot of gold.
I mean, you can always put a piece of it, like
Yeah, you can put some stuff
put some of it back.
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
Which, like, so to be clear, when Allie was pointing out things, she wasn't saying like these are all absolute must-haves, but like if you're like looking at things in different categories, like these are the ones to look at. But like that doesn't mean you have to get, you don't have to get a paddle, you don't have to get both vibrators.
One's a small size, one's a large size. Depends on what you want that day.
You should, though. You should.
Nah, it's fine. If I really am strapped for cash, I can just bum off of Tesla until we get back to the estate.
Yep, you can have whatever you want.
Except for Thrax.
Money.
I'll look sadly at my...
Can we say that while we've been in here, can Allie have sent a runner, like with a message back to Bramba and Radana? Just be like, hey,
Sure.
we're in town. You got space? Okay.
You do. So you buy these things, they package it up for you. They put it in like nondescript package because they don't know how you've like, if you want to carry these through the town, that's fine. If you would rather be a little more subtle, that's also fine. But they put it in like a brown paper bag. They package everything up. Rob, the
subtle is
orb.
good. I'd rather not like cause more of a scene than we're already going to traveling with Allie.
Yeah. So the orb will functionally up your AC by 2, and it will be able to, once per long rest, make a crit on you into a normal hit.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay. What would we call it?
Orb.
Okay. You got it.
Orb of not dying.
Yeah, all right.
We'll come up with a punny name later.
Yeah, that's what every wizard needs.
But you see, everyone gets their stuff packaged up. Kiki gets her plans in, and what you see come to the door of the shop is functionally a carriage with an honor guard.
Okay. Fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Do I recognize any of the honor guard?
Yeah, they're kit that work for your dad.
Have I slept with any of them?
Probably.
Yes, you have.
Roll for yeah, I was going to like roll for it.
There are some of the younger ones you probably met at school back in the day that now maybe you didn't know worked for your dad now that do.
Allie's not at all embarrassed or bothered by it.
Yep.
They might be. She's not.
You see that one of the guards comes out, and it is a tiefling gentleman who's very like red of skin, has a couple more demonic features, and he's like, "Lady, your father has requested your presence."
Just me or all of us?
Your whole party. They said there was two tieflings, a kenku, a human, and a very dense dog.
Yes, that'd be Bosco. Yeah, no, sure.
Then whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Anybody need to buy anything else? No? Alright, Raki, tell Chastity I say hi.
I will. In the carriage you go, and you are brought, with a little bit of fanfare, not a whole lot, to a very nice manor home that is not sort of opulent. You're not thinking about, like, sort of British nobility in the countryside, but definitely a large house that has been built to handle a lot of children. And you see standing at the, sort of at the head of this long path heading up there is a fox gentleman that looks a lot like that Ebon guy, sans the horns. He has about 8 tails on him, and he's in this very shiny, full, like, presentation plate, and he stands there with a sword kind of planted into the ground, the tip of it, and he has a very shit-eating grin on his face as if he's really enjoying what's happening. Next to him is a tiefling woman that's a bit shorter than him, who is sort of rolling her eyes at what her paramour has done, but also is probably sort of enjoying it, but definitely not letting that come out. The carriage pulls around, opens up, and Lord Bramba, the sort of Lord Protector of this place, strides forward. He says, "Greetings to all of you. My name is Lord Bramba Fox. This is my wife, Radonna Fox, and we welcome you to our home."
I'm
Look
bragging
at the
out the
shiny
courtesy
dog.
a lot today.
Oh, it's your homecoming, dear daughter. Why would we not put on all the filigree?
We should have eaten at a pub. Should have eaten at a pub. Allie jumps out of the wagon and gives him a massive hug.
Should have.
At least I come by it honestly, Dad.
Everyone come in. We'd love to have you, and dinners will be ready, but I'm sorry, my children are far more ravenous than Allie is, so you best get in here quick or you won't get anything.
Yeah, there's a traditional blessing at our dinner, and it's not the usual Aloran one, Tessa. It's, I'm gonna try to adapt it. I'm trying to adapt on the fly the one that my family used to use at Christmases, which is in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, whoever eats the fastest gets the most. I'll figure out something.
We'll have to workshop that one.
I'll figure it out. But yeah, no, come on in, guys. You can meet my siblings. You can fight my siblings for food.
In the name of the dragon, the dwarf, and the holy bust. Better eat quick or there'll be more for us.
Works for me.
Good.
Yep.
That's
I like it.
pretty good.
So you folks, you come in, you're sitting down, and you're treated to a very, you might have first thought would be like a stately dinner is very homey. It seems like you're just at a family's place with a very loving family.
There are a number of other children there, just for reference. There is... Pulling it up, hold on. Okay, there is a very serious-looking, teenager, who's kind of pale blue skin, much less, jokey than his siblings. In Allie's opinion, he needs to get the stay out of his ass. This is Ryo. There's one whose hair is up in kind of 2 buns. She also has very dark blue skin. She is talking very excitedly about some animal that she's recently helped it hatch eggs that hasn't hatched eggs in several hundred years. She seems very excited by it. I don't think any of you are super into animals. If Neva were here, she'd probably be interested. But this is Nena, and she's just excited that anybody's listening because her family no longer listens to this because they've all heard it 6 times before. And then there's one very small one with very bright blue skin. who has her nose in a book almost the entire time, but manages to like pass things seamlessly under and over her book. If Nikki looked over, he would see that she's functionally reading a like university level text. She's 8.
Okay.
If you ask her insightful questions about it, she will answer. If you're not asking her about the book, she's probably not going to talk very much.
Is it a magic book? Not like the book. Like, is it a book about magic?
Yeah. So it's specifically a book about the use of music in the creation of spells, and how that does and doesn't affect the power generation of a spell.
Yeah, I'll ask her about it. That sounds super interesting, actually. Get into a little nerdy side conversation with an 8-year-old. Nothing wrong with that.
So the night goes on, and it's a very pleasant evening. This is a very loving family. They entertain you, and as slowly as the younger ones are sort of forced to go to bed. The smallest one being picked up by their father, having the book sort of not ripped, but sort of jostled from their hands because it is time to sleep. They are put to bed. Put down might be a little bit different.
Whoa.
A little different. And you folks spend a very quiet, lovely evening with these people as they ply you with alcohol and ask you just kind of random questions about your life and your story. Bess has come as well during the dinner. She seems very petrified at first because these are like the heads of the city that she is just dining with, and she doesn't talk much. But both the husband and wife that had this family are very charismatic, and they.
So the wife isn't charismatic quite so much as she is consummate mom. So like there is always, like a little extra like snack on the table. There's between every glass of alcohol that Bramba gives you, there is also a glass of water that Radana gives you. And she's just really good at like directing conversations away from things that people seem to be demonstrating some awkwardness about, and towards like things that make them excited to talk about.
And thus the evening goes on, and you have lovely bed accommodations for the evening. So I think this is where we shall end the session. Now that you all have some new toys to play with and some new things, and we will pick up back here with what our next steps will be from Onmare and beyond. So thank you all very much for coming to Ryam, and we will see you all next week.
Cheers.